Coach, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Thank you for taking the time to breathe life into the topic of mental health and carry on this conversation. I would just love to know more if you could share about putting that mental health awareness at the forefront of what you do with your girls, with your team every single day.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you so much for having me. This is definitely, to me, an incredible opportunity to be able to use this platform in a way that hopefully can continue to help spread the awareness to mental struggles that people go through, and oftentimes we have no idea what's actually going on, right? It really is so important to me that we communicate with them as people first, and student athletes second. And whenever you transition into being a new head coach, you're choosing to be with this team, right? So first and foremost, I reminded them that I chose them. And that while they didn't necessarily have an option in who was being chosen for them, that I actively wanted to be here, right? And so I think that was the first message I sent. And then the next piece was just trying to get to know them and getting to know them as people. When you go right into full team practice and you're doing different things, it becomes very difficult. So one of the first things we did is we had a meeting with upperclassmen and underclassmen, and give them an opportunity to ask me any questions that they had. In addition to that, as things have sort of transpired within athletics, making sure that we talk about them. So, before we got off the bus, we kind of talked about what was going on with some of the people that have lost their lives, and just making sure that we're talking about it and that I'm providing an avenue for them to be able to, if they need resources or they know someone that is struggling and they just don't know what to do or how to go about doing it, that I can hopefully help guide them in the direction that is going to at least help them get, some assistance in navigating the next steps, right? It's definitely not my place to I'm not skilled nor educated in that realm. But I can be the avenue in between to connect the dots. And it's really a top priority for me that they are checking in on their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. One of the biggest messages that we tried to focus on since I got there is that I wanted them to make mistakes and I wanted them to chase change, right? And trying to create an environment where you're encouraging people to make mistakes, quite frankly, it's hard, right? Like this pulley system, if you will, where you're pushing them, you want them to go full speed and make the mistakes, but you're also pushing them out of their comfort zone, because then by virtue of that, they're probably going to make more mistakes, right? So the message then was, okay, so go full speed, make the mistake, and then look for another opportunity, right? So in our game, I think it's so cool because you can chuck a ball, right? Like to right field, but then all of a sudden there's this opportunity to throw it home and get a trail runner.
That is a lesson that far transcends, just the game of softball. But in this sport specifically, it is such a game of failure. And I remember playing, and you take failures to heart. But I think something that I've learned since is, just the gratitude for the secondary play.
A little cartoon on my desk is a Peanuts cartoon. I randomly found it on sale at a Hallmark store years ago. But it just says, do you ever think about the future, Linus? And he says, oh yes, all the time. And then they ask, what do you think you'd like to be when you grow up? And then he says, outrageously happy. And it's just something that has always resonated with me. Even think about the question, they're like, actually, yeah, I am happy.
Not only ask the question, but then giving the space to listen to how people are doing and be able to gauge that and act based off of that question. So it sounds simple, just to ask the question.
People can just acknowledge that things aren't always okay, and that it's okay that it's not okay, but yet that there's some sort of follow through on our end to just check in. Oftentimes just checking in on your people and sending that text message is exactly what someone needs.
After this call, we're both logging off, right? And we get to go back into our routines and continue to learn and continue to have these conversations and listen. And so a lot of that doesn't get logged. A lot of that doesn't get recorded, but I am thankful for the time where we can have these conversations that I hope do impact other people, whether it's one word that's said or the entire message. Thanks for listening as we continue to carry on the conversation and prioritize mental health awareness. Let's continue to shine a light on physical, mental, and emotional well-being for all student athletes and all people, not just in the month of May, but every single day. Visit ncaa.org to view the NCAA Student Athlete Wellbeing Study for statistics on mental health and resources and recommendations.